It's been almost 20 years since a tiny $1.5 million horror movie quietly slipped into theaters and reminded audiences that you don't need buckets of gore to terrify people. You just need a house, a family, and something standing in the corner of your child's bedroom. This film helped drag horror out of the torture porn era and back into the shadows, before haunted cinematic universes, before The Further became a household term, and oddly around the same time when this became a thing, there was just a baby monitor, a whisper, and a kid who wouldn't wake up. This is the movie that proved atmosphere could still beat brutality, that silence could be louder than screams, and that sometimes the scariest thing in the room is the thing not moving. Today on Casper at the Movies, we're riding the astral plane to supernatural horror with one of my favorite James Wan pictures, Insidious. Now, Insidious is about demons invading your home from another dimension. My short film Neal is about something much more terrifying, a swimming pool cleaning machine that murders people during a late night swim. So really, both films ask the same question: what if you're not safe in your own house? When Insidious was released in 2010, horror was in a weird place. The 2000s had been dominated by brutality, Saw, Hostel, remakes, extreme violence, endurance horror. And here comes James Wan, who ironically helped launch the Saw franchise, pivoting hard in the opposite direction. Instead of gore, he gives us restraint. Instead of splatter, he gives us suspense. Instead of traps, he gives us a toddler dancing to Tiny Tim. And somehow it works. The story is deceptively simple. Josh and Renee Lambert move to a new home with their 3 kids. After exploring the attic, their son Dalton falls from a ladder. He doesn't die, but he doesn't wake up. Doctors call it a coma, and strange things start happening in the house. Doors open, voices whisper. A figure appears in the baby monitor, and Renee becomes convinced something is inside the house. Eventually, they move and the activity follows them. That's when the movie flips the table, because this isn't a haunted house story, it's a haunted child story. Dalton isn't in a coma, he's astral projecting. His spirit has wandered too far into a realm called the Further, a dark timeless void existing between our world and the afterlife, populated by the restless spirits of the dead and malevolent demons who desperately crave a living human body to possess. That shift is what makes Insidious hit differently. The house isn't evil, the family isn't cursed, the door was open from the inside, and at the center of it all is Josh. Played by Patrick Wilson, Josh isn't a traditional horror dad. He's distant, stressed, emotionally unavailable, and visibly uncomfortable with vulnerability, which makes the reveal even better, because Dalton's ability didn't come from nowhere. Josh used to astral project too. As a child, he traveled into the Further until his mother forced him to forget. The photographs, the old woman in black, the creeping presence that followed him his whole life. He didn't escape it, he suppressed it, and now his son is paying the price. And this is where Insidious gets interesting. Underneath the jump scares and red-faced demons, this is a movie about inherited trauma, about the things parents pass down without meaning to, about emotional absence, about fathers who don't know how to connect until they're forced to. Josh doesn't save Dalton with strength. He saves him by going back into the dark, literally. The third act is where Insidious either wins you over or completely loses you. Josh enters the Further, and suddenly the movie shifts its tone. The lighting changes, the sound design warps. We move from suburban realism to something that feels theatrical, almost dreamlike. And yeah, we meet the demon known as the lipstick face demon. Darth Maul comparisons aside, the design works because it feels iconic, bold, and unapologetic, a visual that sticks in your brain whether you want it to or not. But what really makes the Further work isn't the demon, it's the stillness, the long hallway, the faceless figures frozen in place, the sense that something could move at any second but doesn't. Wan understands something fundamental about fear. Anticipation is scarier than impact. That's why the jump scares land, because they're earned. The camera lingers, the frame holds. You start scanning the background, and then there it is. Not exploding out of a closet, just standing there, watching. Now let's talk about how this thing was made. Insidious was shot in just 21 days on a much smaller budget anyone would think. That's not nothing. That's war in filmmaking. The film avoids expensive effects by keeping things simple. The iconic red face reveal built on lighting and timing. The Further, mostly practical sets and controlled darkness. And that score, that shrieking violence from hell sound does half the heavy lifting. There's almost no blood in this movie. It was intentionally made PG-13 friendly, and it still terrified audiences. That's not an accident, that's design. And the ending? That's where Wan goes bold. Josh rescues Dalton, the family reunites, everything seems fine, until we realize Josh didn't come back alone. The old woman in black, the spirit that haunted him as a child, has taken his body. And the final shot freezes on Renee's scream. Cut to black! No catharsis, no safety, no victory. Just inheritance continuing, and that's why Insidious matters. It helped shift horror back towards supernatural intention. It proved you could make serious money without gore. It laid the groundwork for what would become the Conjuring universe, and its sequels too. And it reintroduced audiences to the idea that fear doesn't have to be mean to be effective. Is it perfect? No. The third act tonal shift divides people. The demon design walks a fine line between terrifying and theatrical, and the further feels more conceptual than fully developed. But that first half, almost flawless tension building. And honestly, the baby monitor scene still gets me. For me, Insidious represents a turning point. It's the movie that reminded studios and audiences that haunted house horror still works, that patience works, that silence works, that shadows are enough, and that sometimes the scariest thing in the world is your dog not waking up. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like and subscribe button, or the red-faced demon will be sharpening his claws behind you. Do you think Insidious is scarier than The Conjuring? If so, comment below with the man with fire on his face emoji. And remember, if your child starts talking about a place called The Further, it's all your fault. Thanks for watching Casper at the Movies. We'll see you at the next one.